Hello folks, Bulletproof here. Here is some flashback of some casual standard playtesting. Basically, the deck on the right you can probably take to your local FNM. Okay, on the left that's a Bant Awaken sort of mid-range control deck, and on the right that's Abzan combo, Abzan Evolution, I believe. So he mulliganed and scryed on top the Tune with effort, and he started off with a blue-green manland. I just started off with a tapped fortified village. So now he casts that Tune on his second turn, gets another island. I suppose he has enough white mana in his hand, because he is quite evenly banned, including the planar outbursts and stuff like that. I don't have quite a huge idea like why there is this Fraben Inspector in his deck. Maybe because it lets him just cantrip, chump block, sort of. Something like an Elvish Visionary kind of thing. That's pretty much it. Over the course of that game, I don't think it serves any special purpose. So my turn 1, turn 2 Loam Dried and the Kraken of the Evolving Wilds for Forest. Here it comes down the island he searched before. Has Anticipate in hand. Some other stuff. I think it's 2 Anticipates, basically. He can safely pass the turn here, he doesn't have really any action. On 3 mana there is not much he can try to find off of that Anticipate. Maybe he should have fired it off for the chance of actually hitting that second Inspector, for example, but I think there might be some counter spells in his hand at that point. Definitely in his deck, at least the Awakened ones, of course. So cast the Silkwood Cutthroat, and then with the help of the Loam Dried, cast another 2-drop. I think that might have been another Cutthroat, I'm not so sure. Here could be anything, because Loam Dried gives you any mana. He ended turns and anticipates, sees I think a couple lands and some spell. Yeah, I took out some Pokemon like stupid cards as the energy token. Just trolling him, basically. It's pretty neat to have them because, well, you want yourself and your opponent to know exactly what's it about. I didn't quite catch what he took there with Anticipates. We'll see soon, I suppose. He definitely has another Plains, I think. So future outbursts are definitely castable. He just passed the turn, because he has the clue in play off of the Inspector, then he also has Anticipate. And in my case, I just need to try to resolve and execute the combo here. So I still need Aldreza Displacer and the Brood Monitor. Trying to cast Displacer, that resolved, but perhaps it's gonna get bounced or removed somehow. Technically I still have 1 more mana here with the Dryad. Yeah, that's a pair of Cutthroats. So I'm just thinking whether I want to block with the Displacer. So okay, that's the second Loam Dried. So accelerating pretty nicely here. Of course I wouldn't overextend like this if I would know that he would be on Jeskai Sahili, for example. So he cracked the clue anticipated. Again, didn't catch what he took. Basically, Outburst is pretty sweet here. Swipes the board. He just loses the Constrictor. That's already drew him a card. Yeah, attacking with Inspector here just doesn't make much sense. I'm not sure if I blocked or not. Maybe I was fearing something like a pump spell. He takes 10 damage here because of the cutthroats. Well, I should rather say I drained him for 10. I think I should have just maybe blocked with 2 cutthroats there, because that was signifying outburst. No, that was probably wrong. That would mean less damage for him. Cage still stuck on freelance, but now with the Catacomb Shifter I kind of have 4. That's pretty important. His bank deck is just full of turtles and value cards that are not necessarily great in the current metagame especially. This was pre-Pro Tour, I believe, so that was quite some time ago, meaning that things changed during the Pro Tour and certainly after it a little bit. I think that was after the first Star City Open, perhaps, yeah, before the second one, so somewhere during that time. He could have anything here because that's the first time I've played against that particular deck. Maybe not, actually might not be the first time, but I suddenly forgot what he had in that deck and what it does. Casting Traverse for just a land, I believe. I bet I don't have Delirium. Fetched another forest because I already have 2 whites and the black swords in play, so, and that deck actually does need a lot of green mana. I'd actually like this deck if not for the fact that without enough of interaction main deck you lose to Heart of Curing pretty horribly. You can't really race it very well, and then you need main deck removals for Sahili combo, and that's why this Abzan Evolution combo deck is not that viable, because you need a lot of interaction in the deck, and by adding it to the deck loses so much consistency, so you can maybe probably approach it as some kind of aggro mid-range, just with some pieces of the combo, with only very few copies of each piece, and then just add enough interaction and just not really focus on tutoring and assembling the combo, just have it as a kind of backup plan. But then you're not really a great aggro deck or mid-range deck. I believe that's the second outburst, just for Sifter plus the Recruiter, which is still nice value. I get to scry at least once, kept it on top, draw for the turn. That's Grapple with the Past, I think. Milled some cards. I think, yeah, Recruiter is a fine pickup here. I don't really need another land at this point. Okay, here comes another Inspector for chumps and Pro Draw. Well, he casts a spell so Recruiter doesn't flip, so that's good for him. And he might have a counter here. Well, I'll start off with a Loam Droid. He can sell his hands, not a great thing to counter. Keeping 3 up for Recruiter, probably a fine idea. Attacking is probably fine. Because his deck is quite a budget one, so I'm not expecting something like Spell Queller and so on. You just cracked the clue at the end of my turn, just to try to find more gas. And yeah, his deck does have quite a few sweet ones that you don't normally see in competitive play. He just landed another manland, and at the end of his turn activating Recruiter, getting Monitor. And by the way, the turn when he actually ate my board with the first outburst, I think I had a Monitor in hand, so I would actually have the combo if not for the outburst. But in that, because he could have just spot removal or counterspell. I think I misplayed something here, or just clarifying something concerning Recruiter. He just got confused, I guess, about the mana, or like when can I search for guys and so on. I have a flipped Recruiter because I think on one turn he didn't cast anything, on the previous turn. So hence my Monitor was cheaper, plus he's the Loam Droid. But Monitor get countered with the Awaken spell. I don't think he actually casted for Awaken. I think he was 1 mana short or something. I think it cost 7. No, I might be wrong. It might be actually just 6. He again didn't cast anything. Trying out another Monitor. Let's see if this one resolves. So yeah, this one did resolve. So I get 3 of those Scions. He has the Pound spell with Awaken in his hand at least. But that doesn't really do a whole lot in this game. He has the blue creature in his hand that actually, I think, gives out land creatures flying. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's what it does. I think it's a 3-drop or 4-drop. His deck is pretty big on Awaken and trying to stabilize the board, but it does lack some power level. But if you tune it a little bit, it's probably quite fine for FNMs and such. So now he casts that guy that makes stuff flying. Oh yeah, it also returns him back a instant sorcery, so he can get back a outburst, I think. So yeah, I know it returns back a card with Awaken. I think that's what it does, I believe, and also gives your land creatures flying. And also nice synergy with the manlands. So for 4 mana you get a 3/3 hex per flying creature until end of turn. I have quite a bit of mana here, but my Recruiter is not flipped, so I can't actually use him as a mana sink, but I can use him to actually dump more stuff on board. But because I know that Outburst is coming next turn, so that's probably not a great thing to do. Tip in the forest and the sign to give with the dry to cast a grapple. Taking back a Cutthroat, so hoping to drain him off when he casts Outburst. Actually, the vampire should have cost 1 here, but whatever. Guess another recruiter here, not sure what was my plan. Okay, attacking with everything, just because I have the cutthroat in hand. I think he's pretty low on life at this point. He's certainly not somewhere above 10. Okay, now I see why he plays the inspector. He champed with 2 guys and cast the outcome, so he has to draw a couple cards. So yeah, that's a nice synergy. That's a pretty nice synergy. Getting back counters and outbursts, drawing more cards, stuff like that. Yeah, I think there are very few cards that actually are too weaken in that deck. Some of them might not seem very powerful, but they synergize with the rest of the deck very well. So yeah, now I see kind of the bigger picture of that Bant deck. So anticipate, sure. He has the outburst anyway, but then he would just die basically. So I guess he was trying to find something better than outburst, like a good blocker plus a removal for cutthroat or something like that. But then again, he will take at least some damage because I can just respond by sacrificing the science. And get some damage through that way. Yeah, I don't think there's a way out for him in this game. Nothing really that will help him survive. So he actually does pass on the turn, discarding a couple cards. Doesn't cast the outburst, but then what can he do or find? I think maybe he should have tried to cast that anticipate on his turn to try to dig for something relevant, but I can't imagine what it should be. So basically, yeah, you can mix up this Abzan deck with some grasps and unmakings and fatal pushes and stuff like that, and then actually might be rather well or at least decent against the meta at your local store event. But there is a reason why this deck hasn't seen much light in ages. Just right after the company was gone from the standard, so that kind of combo creature deck never really picked up, not even as a aristocrat style deck. You see some cards from this deck actually popping up in black-green aggro. We've seen recruiters and sifters in black-green. Then what was that? Yeah, of course you see all the tutors and digging packages in different decks too. But just this game plan of trying to combo off and stalling the game till you get it is not really that viable right now. Aggro is pretty big, and most aggro decks are faster than you are, and because of this cat combo and vehicles, everybody has a bunch of instant speed removals, so that hurts you real badly. On the other hand, if you add some interaction, then you're probably quite okay against control. I'm not sure. Maybe they can grind it out. Nobody really plays that much of exile effects or removals that exile. except for maybe Nahiri. That's probably the most played exile removal effect. Everything else is not seeing that much play, because Tendros, okay, it is in some decks, but it's not such a common thing in the format right now, so that's good for you. Um, but I think overall right now there's definitely much more of Pellegrin and Mardu vehicles than Sahili decks, which is probably worse for you. Because with Cutthroats you can kind of stabilize and drain to not die too quickly, and you can add some removal for sure, but then again you would be most of the time on the jumping duty. uh, there will be very few opportunities to value trade and stuff like that, or just trade on board. Because we agreed to change gears, meaning that we're changing the order of who starts, so it's not dependent on who won or lost the previous game. So now I start first. Yeah, almost drew the card. Just a black-white land and pass. Island pass. Yeah, right now the weekends after GP Pittsburgh and during GP Vancouver, so I played a couple of standard PPTQs with the Mono Blue Reservoir deck, and because it was just PPTQ, not the original one, so I didn't feel too bad about playing such a really good deck, and I had some belief in it, and I think I came up with a pretty solid build as far as the Mono Blue version is concerned. But yeah, the deck still lacks some consistency despite cantrips and draw spells and stuff like that, so it's very dicey. That a lot of my losses during this weekend were due to just drawing stuff in the wrong order, and those losses were a lot of the times just 2-1, not 2-0. I had just a grapple on turn 2 and the displacer on turn 3, not very fast, but quite okay. At least I had something to do on turn 2, and displacer turn 3 is quite okay. It's actually quite good in this matchup in particular, because you can flicker the animated lands that he awakens, and then just make them back into regular lands. It's a big deal. Outside of Outburst, he doesn't have that much of removal. Sometimes some flashy blockers like this one, that's the energy one, the 0-4. That's you get to draw some cards by tapping him and using 2 energy. But I stopped him because I didn't have a good turn 3, so I just paid 3 mana and tapped him, so that he also doesn't get to draw a card. Well, actually he does, because that guy gives you energy once he enters too, I think. I'm not so sure. Perhaps he doesn't. I think it's just maybe 1 energy from the hub. That could be it. Oh yeah, so now this is the bounce spell. He used the last energy, yeah, so you actually be able to cast it this turn. So it just puts a creature on the top deck, and it has Awaken. So you can awaken some land for quite a big cost. I'm a bit screwed here. That's why you probably saw me tapping the guy before blocks, because my lands are now the black-white dual land, which is okay, but the deck needs a lot of green mana, and the other 2 lands are Westwell Abbey and Avery Hub, and I already used the energy for the grapple, so I was hoping to actually find some lands off the grapple, but I didn't. It was just creatures and other spells. so that was pretty annoying. So just recast Displacer in the meantime while I didn't have much to do. Gets 1 energy back, because I think that's another hub or something. I'm not sure. Could be. Or maybe he forgot that he actually used it. He's tapping his guy and attacking with the Displacer because he didn't have much to do. But I think he had just a second one, so now he actually gets to net some energy. I hit another land, but that's fortified village that entered battlefield tap. Next turn I'll be able to cast my hand, or part of it at least. He has quite a bit of gas, and he has 2 good blockers, and also he gets to, you know, throw some cards with some energy. That's an Oath of Nis off the hub, because he didn't have other source of green. But then again, he has the land that filters mana into any color. I believe that's the one we see there. So yeah, I actually think he wasn't supposed to have that energy that he used now to cast the Oath, but whatever. Maybe he did because he blocked with the 0-4. A bit confused here actually. Can't really now track how much energy he has right now. But when he uses it all up again, then we'll get a chance to monitor that a bit better. It's only 1 green mana. That limits my options of what to cast this turn significantly. So casting the Batter when grappled, that can possibly net me more green mana. It did, but again it's tapped because that's the Canopivist and I don't have any basics in play. And this is why the mana base for Abzan is a bit tricky, especially if you're in aggro deck. And I didn't have the whole possible pool of lands for that deck. And it should have maybe more basics in it. But then again, you have so many different color requirements. So that's a Funeral with Effort, I believe. I suppose it's not only for fixing, so he actually has some energy sinks. Well, it's not just Aver Hub, it's also those 0-4s that draw cards. But I'm not sure if there's anything else really to use energy in that deck. I think that might be just it. But yeah, 0-4 is actually quite okay nowadays in the metagame, so it's fine. But then, because it's 2 mana, it dies to a Fatal Push, for example, so that's something to consider. So cast a Recruiter and what? Catacomb Sifter. That's pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet, because I can get outbursted again. So what he did was actually end of turn pick up both of his blockers and draw a couple cards with the outcome. I think he might want to have a bit more synergy with the outcome in this deck. It's okay, but he might actually abuse it a bit more. But at least it's an instant draw spell. So maybe it's a bit better than Glimmer of Genius in this deck. Especially because of all those inspectors and stuff, and the guy that returns back a spell. Okay, so here's the expected sort of outburst that I hope that he didn't have. So I get quite a few scry triggers. I think something like 3 triggers to be exact. This way I can make sure that I'm not gonna get flooded at least, although maybe I needed the 6-1 for monitor. So try to set up a combo in 2 turns. Still thinking about it, so I actually kept it on top. Didn't quite catch a glimpse of what it was. Oh yeah, it was a 6 land. And I think that's the guy that brings back that artifact or creature from graveyard to your hand. I'm not sure, I think Recruiter should have flipped here, yeah. Because he just passed without actually playing anything. I think what he has on board is one of those 0-4s to block. It's really good against my deck, that's for sure. It really helps him to stabilize the game quite nicely. It's really sweet. So let's see what I will try to set up next. Okay, casting grapple first, interesting. Probably just simply digging for combo pieces. Didn't quite get there. Well, I can always, of course, get back Displacer. And then hopefully like cast another grapple or something to get it back a Cutthroat. So yeah, get back the Displacer. I can cast it in this turn, because why not? It's actually gonna cost just 2 mana. So if I would have had a Cutthroat in hand, then I could have... No, I could have set the chain. No, I actually have just the free guy that returns back something in Recruiter. But if Recruiter flips back, I can start to, mana sink and dig for those parts. Can't really do it this turn. So yeah, Recruiter is supposed to flip back if it was flipped. Okay, so I think he countered or bounced the Displacer. No, he just countered it, I think. And then if Recruiter was flipped, it should flip back, because I did cast 2 spells in that turn. You could think that the Recruiter is so easy to follow and not mess up, but yeah, there's a reason that werewolves are tricky, and some were complaining about it. Okay, off of Nissa gets some creature didn't... Okay, it's a proxy. I don't know exactly what it could be. We should see the effect of it if it comes down to that. So you can only take land creature planeswalker with it. It's probably not a land. Oh, so he actually misses some inspectors somehow. That's cute. That's cute. Oh, also, outcome synergizes rather well with the Oath of Nissa and stuff like that, so that's pretty nice interaction. Indeed. See, there is so much going on in that Bant deck, so I can't really call it Awaken. It's just Bant Midrange. Really. And you probably should not focus more than he already does with Awaken mechanic and stuff like that. Actually, most of the cards in this deck make sense. I just maybe don't like the bounce spell they put on the bottom. Probably would want, I don't know, something like a Stasis Snare, for example, instead of that. Especially now when instant removals matter once again because of combo and vehicles. Okay, so Monitor does not resolve. That's really unfortunate because with Displacer, well, he countered Displacer, he countered now these Monitor as well, so yeah. All the time trying to achieve the combo, but never really getting there. Guess he's getting lucky with drawing answers on time. So he's cracking the clue. Try to draw a bit more answers. Can't quite see whether he got there or not, whether he got anything whatsoever. He's not really applying pressure, so still got plenty of time to, keep on digging and keep on grinding. Because he did not, I already drew, but I forgot to flip the recorder once again. Maybe would have responded otherwise by trying to dig more. So that's a Catacomb Sifter now for 2 mana because of the flipped recruiter. Get a sign. Just trying to get some board presence. And just passing the turn here. It's irrelevant, I guess, that I want to cast here, or maybe just flooding out at this point. Yeah, I didn't quite catch what it was. Oh, I think it was end of turn, another outcome. Just really sick, like just drawing so many cards. It's really ridiculous at this point. And he can choose what to bounce, he doesn't have to bounce everything. He doesn't have to bounce everything. Yeah, the deck is pretty sweet. With some tuning, I myself wouldn't have minded to play it at some store event, but probably not picking up it, of course, for any major events. Has at least one Anticipate in hand, if not two. So, yeah, he can start digging once again for another Outburst or the creature that returns it back. So look, he looked at 2 lands and another Inspector with this Anticipate. So yeah, he doesn't really need more lands, and I think he has definitely more in hand just because he drew so many cards of the outcome. 4 or 5 at least. He can now draw more cards. No, wait. It's an vacant land, actually. So he did, I guess, cast one of those counter spells with a Awaken. So now that's a 6 power, I think, because he put counters in it twice. It's a plus a 3/3, I believe. Jumped with the Scion. So get to scry. I think I sacrificed it for mana so that I can use the Abbey to get a token and maybe try to get an Ormondal next turn. It doesn't really have good instant speed stuff for it, as far as I know. But because I did that now during his main phase, he can try to keep me off of 5 creatures. Okay, that's just another inspector. He's trying to draw into something. He has just at least a bounce spell or something like that. To bounce a token, perhaps. Probably not bouncing Sifter. Bouncing Recruiter is probably fine, I guess. Okay, end the turn, discarding some cards. I think that's Oath of Chase and something, which is also pretty nice to pick up back to your hand with the outcome. I think he would really love some Planeswalkers here, perhaps. Or some interaction against opposing Planeswalkers at least. But yeah, it's a fun deck, but yeah, the synergies in here are actually really amusing me. You cannot actually have a 5th creature on board and activate Abbey, sadly. So using one of the Abbeys in the swamp to cast Cutthroat here. I try to spam the board a bit more. I think my Recruiter is faced up. He's played 2 spells, so I can sink and try to dig for more guys. And try to make sure that he cannot really, bounce all of them. Burst at this point is not insane. Cast an evolution here, eating my Eversmith as a 4-drop to get the 6-drop, which is another Probe Monitor. This way I get enough bodies for Abbey and also something to, get more mana with, or just drain him off with the Cutthroat. End of turn, that's the 0-4, I believe. Cracking the clue. Probably should have cracked the clue before playing that 0-4 guy. Cracked another clue, because he can draw into Anticipate, which he probably would rather play instead of that 0-4. That's just another land. He has one Anticipate in hand at least, I think. So Outburst is pretty damn painful here, but it might be his only option, really, for this turn to get back into this game. I don't think he took a whole lot of damage this game, so drains from Cutthroat here are not even close to lethal, I believe. And yeah, at least he has those sorcery bounce top deck spells, so if I go Ormindal, he can take a hit and then maybe bounce it. But there's a chance that Ormindal plus the Cutthroat, 5 bodies eaten to make the Ormindal, so that's 14. He could be within the reach of that. Plus I can always just sacrifice non-science and then finish him off by sacrificing science. Just cast a land. I think he has an Oath of Chase in hand or something, so he can try to dig for something relevant through that. That's probably what he's going for. Okay, he's spamming this other blocker just because he probably doesn't want to discard at end of turn to hand size. But I don't know, he had Oath of Chase. Is it like the Outburst actually not a great draw here? That's just weird. He doesn't have any Manlands up either. That's evolution to eat the sifter to get a 5 drop. I'm not sure what 5 drops are there. Maybe Angel of Invention is a one off. No, just getting Displacer. So hoping to combo off here. Just a safe route, I guess. Just a safe route, perhaps. Yeah, he just scoops the game. Okay, guys. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know about any decks that you might want to see on camera. This week I'm probably gonna play test a bit of standards, so I might talk a bit more about that. I'm not sure what's gonna be the next viable format for me, I mean relevant one. So this weekend there's an RPTQ for Nashville, so I'm gonna be playing that with some probably safe choice, some boring deck, nothing extraordinary, because I just want consistency and good results. But yeah, this week I'll talk a bit more about it. Well, until the next sale, goodbye folks.